Hello and welcome to Picture Astrology. In this quick video, we will talk about placement of Saturn in the sign of Sagittarius. And Sagittarius is not just a dual sign when it comes to its nature, but there is a very clear dichotomy, a very clear and distinctive different behavior which this sign of Sagittarius exhibits. And we will try to see how this Saturn behaves in both of these parts of Sagittarius, and also Saturn being the primary karaka of your past life debts. We will also see some of the simple ways which are most suitable for Saturn in Sagittarius as part of remedies. So let's first look at the most fundamental thing about this placement. Saturn is ruled by Jupiter, and Saturn and Jupiter both are considered to be the oldest planet in Vedic astrology. And if you want to see hierarchy, Saturn will be the oldest planet followed by Jupiter. Now Saturn actually rules your age, your longevity. It also shows how your old age is going to be. Typically, a good, auspicious, strong Saturn is a very good indicator of good old life. Similarly, Jupiter is the guru of Vedic astrology. It is the planet full of wisdom, and definitely one of the most mature planets. So as a very basic thumb rule, any combination of Saturn and Jupiter definitely shows a person with an old head. Now this aspect is going to come up very strongly if Saturn in Sagittarius is anyways impacted or affecting your ascendant and or moon, because these 2 points are something which are reflected very prominently in your personality. Now in case this combination is aspecting your ascendant or ascendant lord, then your looks are also going to be mature. You are going to look a little older than your normal age, and that maturity is also going to be reflected in your mentality, the way you think, especially also because Sagittarius is the primary sign which shows your philosophical inclination, which shows your interest in religion, which shows your interest in the higher truths of life. It is not a sign which is concerned with making bread and butter. No, this is the sign which is always looking for higher realities of life. And we just saw Saturn is an old planet. So one thing is that generally people with this placement do have a great respect for their traditions. That is the fundamental quality of Saturn in Sagittarius. However, remember, if Saturn is afflicted and severely afflicted, then it will have a little different story. Because Saturn in Sagittarius, apart from giving traditional behavior, it is not a dogmatic position. It is not a position which generally makes a person narrow-minded. Now because of that, suppose say Rahu is also available with this combination or affecting Saturn severely, then people with this placement obviously will have broader outlook. They will respect other religions and others' belief equally, but severe affliction can often make them doubt and question old customs, especially if they are not explained to them in a scientific manner. So that is a very important distinction, that their devotion to tradition has an inherent scientific bent to it, and that comes primarily because this is a fiery sign. And in general, fiery sign folks or places where fiery sign are strong, they don't believe on things easily, because the fundamental nature of fire is to test your endurance. In metallurgical process, impure metals go through rigorous fire processes before they become pure. And similarly, fire domination gives that scientific curious nature. Now Saturn is also the sign which or planet which shows your work life, the kind of services which you render to this world. So in case you have Saturn aspected by a strong Jupiter, when Saturn is placed in this sign of Sagittarius, then this is definitely a combination which not only gives you great interest in religion and philosophy, but it can also give you some kind of vocation or some kind of job or some kind of work which is related to religious institutes. And this includes teaching philosophy in a college to giving sermons in a church. You could be employed in a higher educational institute because Sagittarius definitely represents teachers. At the same time, it also represents religious institutes, and any kind of vocation related to religious establishments is also very conducive because it shows your service to the world. Now, in any case, people with this placement generally tend to get involved with social service as well. Even if, say, you are in corporate world because of the horoscope and the situation of 1st and 10th lord, yet people, when they have Saturn in Sagittarius, they tend to get more involved with the corporate social responsibility initiatives, CSR initiatives as they are called, because this placement gives an inherent tendency to get involved and do something for a larger society. Now let's quickly talk about that dichotomy which we discussed in the beginning of the video. So the sign of Sagittarius, as the symbol represents, has clearly two distinct parts. The first 15 degree of the sign is the human part, which is more related to the human tendencies of religion, preaching, social justice, philosophy, etc., which we just talked about. And the second half, the second 15 degrees of this sign is actually horse, as you can see here. So because of this, Sagittarius is not just the sign of philosophy, higher learning, tradition, etc. The man carrying bow and arrow and having the strength of a horse actually makes this sign, or at least the second half of the sign, having a lot of aggression, and that aggression actually is pretty controlled aggression because the sign is ruled by the wisdom planet Jupiter. But anyhow, the second half of Sagittarius is very closely associated with wars, with ammunitions, factories in which the war ammunitions, and in today's world all kind of military equipments are made, or war strategists. It's not just learning about life and the philosophy, it is also, the second half is learning about how to win a war, how to strategize for a war, how to defeat your enemy. So typically when Saturn is in the second half of this sign along with strong Mars, then it gives a great tendency to be involved with some of these activities. Or as we saw, Saturn is your service. It can also mean rendering your services towards these areas. But one of the preconditions is a very strong Mars and possibly aspecting or associated with Saturn in some ways. Now let's quickly talk about the kind of remedies which could be most suitable when you have Saturn in the sign of Sagittarius, because among other things, Saturn also shows debts or things which you need to repay or things which you need to do for others, more like service to others. And since Saturn is in a fiery sign ruled by the priest Jupiter, people with this placement can get special benefits by performing fire rituals, or as they're called in Eastern cultures, they are also known as Homa or Havan. In fact, I have seen charts in which you have Saturn in the sign of Sagittarius with Jupiter also placed in the sign of Aries, which is another fiery active sign, and the person, just as a tradition which runs through their family, performs very frequent or regular Homa or Havans and also help others in doing that. Now, doing Homa or Havan in today's very busy life is not that easy for everyone. So at least what you can do is light a lamp in your home, or what is known in Sanskrit as Deepak, a small light. And the best time to do that would be in the evening around sunset, when the sun is setting down. That is a time when nature experiences a great upsurge in natural forces, and it is one of the best times to light a lamp in your home as a fire ritual remedy. Now, the fuel which powers this light is also very important. See, fire also has very different kind of qualities, especially depending upon the fuel it has. And you can clearly see if there is a fire which is due to petroleum products, the gasoline or diesel, etc., you can clearly see that typical smell, and that is primarily because of the microparticles of petroleum are spread around in the environment. Similarly, different kind of fuel would spread different type of microparticles in the environment, and it can have some intense effect on human mind as well as psychology. So for this placement, Saturn in Sagittarius, one of the best ingredients you can use is ghee or clarified butter, because this is represented or is supposed to be the purest form of Jupiter, and by extension also represents the Sagittarius sign. Now in case you don't find clarified butter or ghee, you can use any other method which is common to you. Now there is a whole different science and methods of lighting a diya or a lamp and many other aspects of it which can be used as remedial measures, and we will probably talk about this in a different video. But I do hope this video would have given you some food for thought. Thank you so much for being with me and watching this so far. Please do put your comments and experiences. I really look forward to them. Thanks again and hope to see you again soon. Bye bye.